Hey, how you doing today, folks? In today's video, I want to discuss Jon Snow and his legitimacy as a true-born Targaryen. Because I think the biggest theory in television history was the R+L=J theory. And for years, people were always left wondering who the mother of Jon Snow was. Jon was always known as Ned Stark's bastard son, but I think most of the fans knew that the secrecy around his mother had to be something pretty big, and more important than what just lied on the surface. Ned Stark always claimed that Jon was his son, and that he basically just had with some random woman during Robert's rebellion. But we knew that Ned was such an honorable man that this couldn't be true. We knew that Ned had to have been hiding something that was very important about Jon's mother, but was too dangerous to reveal. Which is pretty unfortunate for Jon to have to grow up that way, not knowing who his true parents were, because being a bastard is a tough life, even for a highborn kid in a noble family like the Starks. This was something Jon had to live with and accept, no matter how he felt inside. And Catelyn didn't make it easy on Jon either. I think she was always jealous of this mysterious woman that was able to get the honorable Ned Stark to break his vows. And even though it wasn't Jon's fault, she always made Jon feel unwanted, and always embarrassed him around company by making him sit elsewhere, or sometimes not even allow him to attend these get-togethers at all. So as soon as Jon was old enough to leave the house, he left to start a new life at Castle Black. He wanted to join the Night's Watch and protect the realm from what lies beyond the wall, which the Starks have done for thousands of years. And as Jon left for Castle Black, Ned told him that the next time they see each other, he would tell him about his mother. But unfortunately, that would be the last time that they would ever speak, which left us fans wondering, would we ever find out who Jon's real mother was? But thankfully, as Bran was beyond the wall training to become the new three-eyed raven, we started to get a glimpse of what actually happened. And just to start back a little bit, years ago at the tourney of Harrenhal, a young Lyanna Stark, sister to Ned Stark, was in attendance, while the Prince Rhaegar Targaryen competed in and won this tournament. And after the tournament, it was custom for the winner to give the crown of roses to the most beautiful woman in the crowd, which everyone assumed Rhaegar would give them to his wife, Elia Martell. But he actually rode right past her and laid them in Lyanna Stark's lap. And that gesture led to a bit of outrage and was definitely frowned upon, because not only was Rhaegar married, but Lyanna was also betrothed to another man, who was Robert Baratheon. And at some point after the tournament, Lyanna was said to have been abducted by Rhaegar and taken south to Dorne. And after this happened, that's when Lyanna's brother Brandon Stark wanted Rhaegar arrested and charged for his crimes. But Rhaegar's father, who was the king at the time, actually had Brandon Stark and his men charged for treason, and demanded that Brandon and Lyanna's father come to King's Landing for the trial. And he promised that he would have a fair trial, but the Mad King actually had him burned alive, and put Brandon Stark in a device that eventually strangled him. So these sequence of events led to the uprising of Robert's rebellion, and Ned was determined to find his sister Lyanna. And that's when we see in Bran's vision Ned Stark outside the Tower of Joy, which was being guarded by Targaryen Kingsguard, and most notably Sir Arthur Dayne, who was a legendary swordsman at the time. So we knew that they had to have been guarding someone or something very important, which we later found out was the prince's son. And after a quick battle that Ned Stark almost lost, but he did defeating Sir Arthur Dayne with the help of Howland Reed, we see Ned Stark go inside the tower, where Lyanna Stark was inside giving birth to a baby boy. And that's when she asked Ned to promise to keep her child's birth a secret from Robert, and that Ned claimed the child as his own so that the child wouldn't be killed. So we now knew that the child Ned brought home from the war, that was Jon Snow, was not his kid, but actually his sister Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen's kid, which HBO later confirmed by showing Jon's lineage. So, now that R+L=J has been confirmed, I think the biggest remaining question is Jon Snow a legitimate Targaryen, or is he still a bastard? And there isn't a whole lot of information to point one way or the other, so this is going to be just what I believe. And I think that if Rhaegar was willing to run off with Lyanna while he was married and she was betrothed to Robert, knowing that it would cause blood to be shed and ultimately war, I think he would have found a way to marry her, considering what he was willing to risk. And it certainly wouldn't be the first time a Targaryen had two wives at the same time. Now, with only 13 episodes left in the show, they may not go into all the details surrounding Jon's birth or Rhaegar and Lyanna's relationship. But with 2 books still remaining to come out by George R.R. Martin, these books could potentially have upwards of 2,000 to 2,500 pages. So I certainly believe he will delve into this more in the books. Because with more and more main characters dying, the story is really going to shift its focus on Jon Snow, who is becoming the central character in the story, which will lead us to learning more details about his bloodline and legitimacy. Now, it was always believed that Rhaegar kidnapped and raped Lyanna Stark, but I actually believe that she left with him willingly. I believe that she was infatuated with him and swept off her feet by the young prince, who I think she eventually fell in love with. And Rhaegar was always held in high regard by those who knew him or fought beside him. So, he's always kind of known as this nice guy. And Sir Barristan Selmy even once said that he never liked killing people, but he did love to sing. And he also loved to play the harp. So to me, it sounds like he's a bit of a romantic guy. He sounds like the type of guy that would want to marry the woman that he truly loved, especially if he knew she was expecting a child. He would definitely want the prince that was promised to be legitimized. He wouldn't want the prince that was promised to be a bastard. But I also think regardless of what Jon's last name is, it's not going to matter in the end. Only his blood is important. I don't think Jon needs the Targaryen name to rule, even if he wanted to, because by the end of the story, the population will have dwindled so much, and kings and queens as we know it will no longer exist, that if Jon wins in the end, they're going to raise him up as a god no matter what his name is. Because it's not the names that make this a song of ice and fire, but it's the blood that runs in their veins. And I definitely believe that Jon is a legitimate Targaryen. So comment below and let me know what you guys think. Do you think he was legitimized, or is he still a bastard? I appreciate you guys for listening. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you next time. Bye.